Hi, welcome to the 7th flashback. This episode introduces the best fantasy films. In the animal kingdom, a father and son encounter a creature on their way to the hospital that is simultaneously human and seems to be turning into a bird. In the hospital, we see the man's wife and the boy's mother in a relatively similar condition, caught between human and animal forms. We realize that in a city and a country, an epidemic has broken out, turning some of the people into animals. This epidemic means that some people are reversing the evolutionary process, transforming from humans into various animal species over a short period of weeks. Society is in a state of panic. The father of our story is lost and searching for his wife, who has escaped from the city to the forest. Meanwhile, the boy feels embarrassed about what has happened and is hiding the incident regarding his mother from his peers at school. The film does not focus on answering the question of where this epidemic comes from or why it is happening. Instead, it attempts to highlight the rights of animals and the experiences they endure coexisting with humans in today's modern world. The film is directed by Thomas Kail, and it stars Romain Duris, Paul Keach, and Adele Exarchopoulos. The approximate runtime is 2 hours and 10 minutes. The genre is somewhat unique, but can be said to contain apocalyptic elements. This film is definitely suitable for family viewing, and I would rate it as a quality film. In my opinion, it appeals to a general audience, especially those who care about animal rights, which is indeed a very important issue in today's world. Story of a pregnant woman who unexpectedly falls into a coma after attempting suicide. A strange doctor, acting as a creator and life giver, connects the brain of her unborn child to her own brain, saving her life. The result of this rebirth is a mature body with a completely empty mind and spirit, yet very capable of growth and learning. The story of Bella revolves around a woman who, through travel and learning various things in a relatively short time, undergoes a profound transformation. She finds herself once again in the position of the woman who intended to commit suicide at the beginning of the film. Essentially, she returns to her former self, but this time it seems that the woman who has rebuilt herself is going to make a different choice, opting for life rather than death. The director of the film is Yorgos Lanthimos, featuring performances by Emma Stone, Mark Ruffalo, Willem Dafoe, Rami Youssef, Christopher Abbott, and Michael Cera. The approximate runtime is 2 hours and 22 minutes. It is not suitable for a family setting. With some leniency, it can be considered an excellent film. It could have avoided some minor flaws, including occasional cliched dialogue. Overall, I believe it's a film that should be seen at least once, and discerning film enthusiasts, especially those who support women's rights, will definitely find it appealing. Pinocchio tells the story of a mischievous boy carved from wood by his carpenter father and brought to life by a kind fairy. This latest adaptation of Carlo Collodi's famous tale stays faithful to the story you likely know. It follows the eventful journey of the wooden boy who wants to return home and, naturally, wishes to become a real boy. Directed by Robert Zemeckis and starring Tom Hanks, the film runs for 1 hour and 45 minutes and falls within the musical genre. It's highly recommended for family viewing as it's a truly charming and heartwarming film. It's suitable for general audiences and for those specifically looking to enjoy a film with children or to impart an educational message. The Shape of Water is set in 1962. A young woman who is mute but can hear. She works as a maid and cleaner in a secretive government laboratory. Elisa is shy and introverted, with only a small circle of friends. Yet she has a curious and questioning nature and a gentle spirit. She discovers that a mysterious creature has recently been brought to the lab for research, and with growing curiosity, she realizes that this being is a humanoid amphibian. Soon, she finds she can communicate with him. However, the relationship between Elisa and this creature faces a dangerous obstacle, as the head of the laboratory plans to eliminate him. Directed by Guillermo del Toro, the film stars Sally Hawkins, Michael Shannon, Richard Jenkins, Michael Stolberg, and Octavia Spencer. Running just under 2 hours, it falls into the romance genre. It's appropriate for general audiences, and I would recommend it to both mainstream viewers and fans of art films. In a fictional world, single people are not allowed to live among others in society. They are taken to a resort where they have 45 days to find a partner among other singles who are also held there. If they fail, they are ultimately turned into animals. David, recently left by his wife after 12 years of marriage, arrives at this luxurious resort alone, accompanied only by his loyal dog, which is actually his unfortunate brother, who previously stayed at the resort but couldn't find a partner either. The resort is known for its unique activities, including thrilling hunting sessions where residents can pursue former singles, now transformed into animals. Capturing one of these animals adds an extra day to their limited 45-day stay. The resort also hosts various social events designed to help residents find compatible partners. However, after numerous failed attempts, David begins to feel the pressure of potentially not finding a partner before his time runs out, fearing he'll be turned into his chosen animal if he fails. The film is directed by Yorgos Lanthimos and stars Colin Farrell, Rachel Weisz, Olivia Colman, Ashley Jensen, Jesse Plemons, Lashana Lynch, and Ben Whishaw. With a runtime of approximately 2 hours, it falls into the romance genre, and it's best appreciated in a thoughtful viewing environment. I believe this film will appeal to discerning viewers, especially those interested in psychological themes. Beasts of the Southern Wild follows 6-year-old Hush Puppy, who lives in a flooded area. This area sinks further each day due to dams built by city dwellers, the melting polar ice, and frequent heavy rains, likely caused by global warming. Despite these conditions, Hush Puppy and her father refuse to abandon their home for seemingly safe cities with artificial lives. They fight to survive and continue their way of life, much like natural monsters forced to rebel against modern consumerism. Directed by Ben Zeitlin and starring Vance Wallace and Dwight Henry, the film has a runtime of 1 hour and 33 minutes and belongs to the post-apocalyptic genre, often considered a subgenre of family films. However, it holds little meaning in a family viewing context. Instead, the film is better suited for viewers interested in environmental issues, as it offers a poetic interpretation of a current crisis that some may overlook. The film begins with a woman's voice narrating in the role of an omniscient observer, describing Harold's character and life. Soon, we realize that this narrative voice, initially meant solely for us as viewers, becomes audible to Harold himself. In other words, the omniscient narrator, speaking in third person, isn't just describing Harold's life, but actively shaping it. For instance, at one point, the narrator decides that Harold will die soon, and Harold, now aware of the voice, hears every event and situation foretelling his fate. Naturally, he becomes distressed by this unexpected intrusion into his life. Unsure if the voice is a figment of his imagination or if it truly exists, Harold embarks on a quest to find the author of his life. Directed by Mark Forster and starring Will Ferrell, Dustin Hoffman, Emma Thompson, and Maggie Gyllenhaal, Stranger Than Fiction runs 1 hour and 54 minutes and falls within the family comedy genre. With its unique storyline, I recommend this film for its refreshing take on narrative structure. It's especially enjoyable for discerning viewers with an interest in literature and unconventional storytelling. In Meet Joe Black, Bill Parrish, a powerful figure in the media world, is preparing to celebrate his 65th birthday. He has 2 daughters, including Susan, his younger daughter, who is romantically involved with one of his young managers. One day, Susan meets a charming man in a coffee shop, and after a brief but intense exchange, they part ways without her realizing he is moments away from a fatal accident. Later, Bill encounters this same young man at his home, though now he appears as Death, having taken on the young man's form. Death, introducing himself as Joe Black, offers Bill the chance to settle his affairs and spend his final days with his loved ones. Bill, in turn, introduces Joe to his family, and Susan finds herself falling in love with him, though unaware of his true identity. Bill, who has previously brushed with Death, does not initially recognize Joe as the same presence, and he is deeply uncomfortable with the connection forming between Susan and Joe. Directed by Martin Brest and featuring Brad Pitt, Anthony Hopkins, Claire Forlani, Jake Weber, Marcia Gay Harden, and Jeffrey Tambor, Meet Joe Black has a runtime of approximately 2 hours and 30 minutes and is classified as a romance. It's a well-crafted film, and one might even say it's excellent with a touch of generosity. I believe it's enjoyable for both general audiences and selective viewers who may not have yet seen it. Who Framed Roger Rabbit? is set in 1947 Hollywood, where cartoon characters, or simply toons, are some of the most beloved figures in the industry. Among them, Roger Rabbit is a fan favorite. However, Roger has recently been distracted on set, likely due to rumors about his wife, Jessica, having an affair with one of the studio owners. As a result, Mr. Maroon, the head of the studio, frustrated with Roger's lackluster performance, hires a private detective to uncover the truth. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, the film stars Bob Hoskins, Christopher Lloyd, Charles Fleischer, Stubby Kaye, and Joanna Cassidy. With a runtime of 1 hour and 44 minutes, this comedy is well suited for family viewing. I believe it's a good film and can even be considered one of the few excellent examples of rotoscope animation. However, this film appeals to a particular audience. If someone in that group hasn't seen it, they can easily tell from a few scenes that it's a film they'd likely enjoy and find humorous. In post-war Berlin, Wings of Desire follows a group of angels who observe, record, and preserve people's experiences. They listen to people's thoughts, offering comfort and solace. One day, Emile, one of the angels, meets a former angel who is now living as a human. This ex-angel speaks to Emile about tangible human experiences, such as the taste of coffee and the sensation of smoking, ultimately encouraging Emile to consider experiencing humanity himself. Emile becomes tempted, especially for the sake of a lonely trapeze artist he sees performing in a circus. Directed by Wim Wenders, the film stars Bruno Ganz, Solveig Damartin, Otto Sander, Kurt Bois, and Peter Falk. With a runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes, Wings of Desire is a beautiful film, but it's best appreciated by a specific audience, those who enjoy slow-paced, black and white films. For them, this movie can be a profound and rewarding experience. In this short section, I'll introduce a few movies that aren't worth your time, alongside some well-known titles in the genre that deserve a mention. The first film is Barbie, directed by Greta Gerwig and released in 2023. This film is so poor that it's hard to sit through until the end. It's surprising that a film with this theme was made in 2023. Next, we have Pinocchio, directed by Matteo Garrone in 2019 and featuring Roberto Benigni as Geppetto. This Italian-made film stays mostly true to the classic Pinocchio story, with some minor deviations. I can't say for certain which version is closest to the original, as I haven't read the original story myself. But if you want to watch a Pinocchio film in its original Italian, this is the one. Roberto Benigni also directed a different Pinocchio in 2002, which is another Italian adaptation with slight differences from the other two versions I've discussed here. You can watch any of these three versions if you're interested in Pinocchio adaptations. Moving on, we have the Hobbit trilogy, directed by Peter Jackson in 2012, 2013, and 2014. It's one of the most well-known trilogies in the fantasy genre, and I don't think it needs much introduction. Then there are the Pirates of the Caribbean films, a popular franchise with installments released in 2003, 2006, 2007, 2011, and 2018, directed by various filmmakers. These films hardly need an introduction either, but if you're a fan of the franchise and haven't seen all of them, here's a reminder. Lastly, The Wizard of Oz, 1939, directed by Victor Fleming, is a classic worth mentioning in this category. It's a great watch if you enjoy classic films, especially within the fantasy genre. Dear friends, this concludes the first part of our list of the best fantasy films. I'd love to hear your thoughts. What's your favorite film from this list? How would you rate it? Are there any other important fantasy films you think deserve a mention? Please share your recommendations. I'd be happy to discuss them with you. Until the next flashback, stay happy, healthy, and well. Goodbye.